What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tom Lavalette, two guys talk sports. Let's do this. Last weekend, sporting-wise, it was a pretty bad weekend. Not for whatever results happened or whatever outcomes, but last weekend, we had a young man that had his life taken way too soon. So, for those who have not heard, a hockey player by the name of Adam Johnson passed away this previous weekend after, unfortunately, having his neck slashed by a skate. And this has happened, for the record, sports fans, this has happened before. You know, we've had hockey players died from skate-related injuries, especially to the neck area. But Adam Johnson was just 29 years old. It's awful. And by the way, there is a video on the incident. All I have to say is watch at your own discretion, but be mindful, it is very graphic. I feel for his family. My thoughts and prayers are with his family. He's just 29 years old, had the rest of his life ahead of him, and gone too soon. It's really quite sad. Hurts my heart. Being a guy who worked as a hockey manager in high school, this breaks my heart. You know, whether it's a teammate or even a guy on a different team, it hurts the hearts of the hockey community. And the community's coming together at this point, of course, to send their condolences to the family of Adam Johnson. And, I wish nothing but comfort for his family. And I will also say this, of course, I also, in a way, feel bad for Matt Petgrave. Matt Petgrave, in case you're wondering, was the guy that Adam Johnson had contact, or the guy that ran into Adam Johnson and actually cut his neck with the skate. Now, that incident, by the way, is under review by the police department. For the record, this took place in England, okay, in Sheffield, or not in Sheffield, but in Nottingham. I could be wrong, but this was a hockey game in England, so the police are investigating this matter, from what I understand, and I'm not here to speculate. All right, I have opinions about what the incident, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to tell you my opinions about that. What I am going to say is this. We had one man whose life was taken too soon, and another man whose life will never be the same. And for Matt Petgrave, like I said, his life is changed forever, starting with this moment. And whatever the outcome of the investigation is, whatever they find, whether the police find it was an accident or intentional, again, not going into my opinions. I will say this. Whatever happens, I do hope he finds the help that he needs and the counseling he needs going through such a tough circumstances like this. And I will say this: if they find that he did it intentionally, then hey, Petgrave needs to be held accountable and needs to face the consequences of his actions. But once he does, I hope he finds peace in his life. I hope he finds a way to be better than what he was before. Regardless of I say this regardless of whether it was an accident or intentional. I hope he finds a way to be a better person than he was before, because his life is not going to be the same. Like I said before, his life's not going to be the same. The lives of the family of Adam Johnson are not going to be the same, and the lives of Petgrave's family will not be the same either. So, what you got to do at this point, you know what? Thoughts and prayers for families on both sides, and hopefully nothing but healing. So, what happened, and I will say this, obviously there's also a lot more talk again about hockey safety, maybe, you know what, it's been too long now without out net guards being. Now, here's the thing. When I was in high school hockey and I was a manager, one of the things I knew is we were always taught, keep your skates down. Of course, I didn't play hockey. I was just a manager. But one of the things I know from what the coaches would tell the players is keep your skates down and always put your net guards on. Net guards are mandatory in high school hockey, especially in the United States. But I do think that now would be a time to mandate them across all leagues of hockey. Like, I agree but we do need to find a solution that's comfortable for the players. But we need to find something that protects the necks of players. I agree with that statement. But this is tough. You know, my heart really hurts for Adam Johnson and his family. And you know what? And in a way, my heart also hurts for Matt Petgrave's family as well. Because, like I said before, one life gone too soon and another that will never be the same. So, rest in peace, Adam Johnson. All right, moving on. And sadly, sports fans, speaking of sports icons, sports-related people that we've lost. Oh, man. I just learned today that Bobby Knight, the legendary coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, passed away today at age 83. Now, you know me, guys. I'm a Purdue Boilermaker fan. But I will say this. I have all the respect in the world. Always had the respect for Bobby Knight and the things he did. Not just for basketball in the state of Indiana, but just basketball for the United States in general. I mean, of course, part of the reason basketball became... Bobby Knight is part of the reason why Indiana is known as the basketball state. I mean, he made basketball what it is. And you know what? In 49 other states, it's just a game. But in Indiana, it's more than that. And a lot of that was because of Bobby Knight and the things he did for the game of basketball. And you know what? And of course, I was a Purdue fan. But you know what? I've mad respect for Bobby Knight. Always. He coached before my time, but even as a human being, I've always had respect for Bobby Knight because of the things he did for basketball. Okay, so sure, he was a controversial person in life, but he was a hard coach to play for, but he was known as the general for a reason. Got a lot out of his players and 3 national championships for Indiana University. So, tough coach, but you know what? He needed to be in order for Indiana to be successful. So, today, we say goodbye to a legend of basketball and an icon of sports, especially in the state of Indiana. So, my thoughts and prayers are with Bobby Knight and his family. And I will say, Bobby Knight is also one of the big reasons why, alongside Gene Cady, those two are the biggest reasons why the Purdue-Indiana rivalry was so huge, and it only got bigger and continues to get big. The reason that Purdue-Indiana is such a great rivalry, you can thank Bobby Knight for that. He made that rival. He helped make that rivalry bigger and bigger. So, and of course, I could go. I'm not gonna dig into all the history because time's short. But he did a lot of things. He may have been controversial, but you know what? He did what was best for his teams, and he did what was best for the game of basketball. He helped basketball become what it was, especially in the state of Indiana and beyond. Coached for Team USA. Had a great basketball IQ in mind. Of course, we're all going to remember him for that game against Purdue in which he threw the chair in the direction of a referee and was thrown out of the game for that. But hey, maybe we all need to throw a chair in respect for Bobby Knight. My thoughts and prayers are with his family, and today, basketball and sports has lost a great icon. Rest in peace, Bobby Knight. All right, now it's time for a more positive topic. All right. Of course, these first 2 topics I've had a hard time with. This one I'm not going to have as much of a hard time with. All right, I know what you guys are going to think when I say this. I don't watch NASCAR a lot. I know they've got a championship this weekend. And yes, I will say I don't watch NASCAR a lot, but I do keep up with it a bit. I admit to that. I won't lie to you. I'd be lying if I said I didn't keep up with it. I do a little bit. It pops up on my Instagram and social media quite a bit. But I will say this. This Championship 4 battle that we're about to have, it's a really intriguing one. I like to think of this NASCAR's Final Four of 2023, or the Championship 4 as they call it. I like to think of this as the battle of the good guys. Because all these drivers that are in the NASCAR's Championship 4, they're all really likable guys. Like, you just can't hate them. Okay, maybe there are some reasons you could dislike them, but you can't really hate them. So let's go over the field real quick. So, we got Kyle Larson. He had a dominant 2021. He was the best driver all year, won 10 races en route to a championship, and here we are. 2 years later, he's got a chance to win a second one. And deservingly so, Ever since Hendrick gave him that second chance, he's run away with it in the best way possible. He's now won a total, I think, of about 17 races since joining Hendrick, which is a lot. He's making that 5-car look good, and that Hendrick know-how. Kyle, without doubt, Larson's the odds-on favorite to win this championship. It wouldn't surprise me if he wins it. And he's got that know-how and that swagger. There's no pressure. What's that going to be for Larson? He's done this before. He's prepared to do it again. And now that he has that know-how. Okay, the swagger's there for Larson. He and his team, they'll be pumped up, ready to contend for another championship in Phoenix. Win or lose. But he's not the only Hendrick driver. He's not the only Hendrick driver that is in the Final Four. So I mentioned Kyle Larson won the championship in 2001, and Hendrick that year also had 2 cars in that championship 4. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. This time around, it's Kyle Larson and William Byron. So the next 3 drivers I'm going to talk about, this is their first shot at it. Or actually, the next 3 drivers that I'm going to talk about have not won a championship. And they've got a chance to get there first. We'll start with William Byron. And how about this? William Byron, he's been, from what I've heard, winningest driver on the season, 6 wins. He's coming into his own at Hendrick. There were some questions about whether or not Hendrick had pulled him up too early, but throughout the years, he has continued to improve. And he's having his best season without a doubt. Now the question is, will he punctuate that with a championship? He's going to have to race his teammate, Kyle Larson, for that. And Hendrick's going to have to divide up the resources, but that's a team that's quite capable of doing it, because they've done it before. So, it'll be a good battle between he and his teammate. But Byron, he has continued to improve a lot and come into his own. He's gone from virtual reality, or from simulator racing, to the real deal. From having a chance to win a championship in this amount of time. That's crazy. Crazy stuff. All right, next driver we got. He's the only driver from last year's Championship 4 that's returning. Christopher Bell. Let me just tell you something. Christopher Bell's another guy that is coming into his own. Once again, and he is becoming one of those drivers who is clutch when it matters most. 2nd straight year in the Final Four, and he won when he's needed to the most. He may only have 2 wins this year, but that one, he got that win at Homestead, which propelled him into the Final Four for the 2nd straight time. And right now, I just got to be honest. I think Joe Gibbs Racing needs to put more behind Christopher Bell, because I think he's the future. All right. No disrespect to Denny, because he's still competitive. And, of course, he's not in the Final Four. This time he missed it yet again. Legacy of Failure Championship Edition continues for Denny Hamlin. But I will say this. Christopher Bell, he continues to get better and better. He continues to prove that he belongs in the Cup Series. And he also is continuing to prove that Joe Gibbs Racing, as difficult as this choice was, it was the right decision to put Christopher Bell in the 20. And he's run away with that opportunity. He's continuing to prove that he belongs in the 20 car. And I'd like to see Joe Gibbs Racing put more behind Christopher Bell going forward, because he's the future for that team. Or one of the future drivers. He might. All right, just to sum it up, for lack of better words, I think he's young, got plenty of potential, still plenty of time. Let's see how much more he can do when Gibbs puts more behind him. And finally, Bell has a shot to get his first championship, of course, thanks to his know-how of coming through in the clutch in the right moments. And finally, our final driver, and probably the big underdog story in this chase. How about Ryan Blaney? Honestly, I am so happy for this guy. If I was still probably watching this sport, he would be one of my favorite drivers. It's close between him and Larson. I like both of those guys. But Ryan Blaney is a good guy. He's a good man. It is about time we had a good guy like Ryan Blaney in this Final Four. Not that there weren't plenty of good guys in the championship in the past, but Ryan Blaney is a fan favorite. You know, really kind, doesn't try to blame others for his mistakes, owns up to his mistakes, and you know what? Holds himself accountable in all the right ways. You know, and people have had criticisms of him, saying, oh, you know, he's good, but he's not really a championship caliber driver. Well, how about this? Here we are. He's got 3 wins on the season, and he won at Martinsville to get himself into this position. And suddenly, he has 3 wins this season, the most he's ever had in any season. And while I will say this, while some of the criticisms of Ryan Blaney might be true, I think Blaney would be doing a lot better if Penske would be giving him more of what he needs. I mean, Blaney runs consistently, but he would have a lot more, if you ask me, from what I've heard, if his team didn't always let him down. Like, doesn't have the best pit crew, gets a new crew chief almost every year, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there's always cogs in the machine that get changed out too much in that 12 team, and it screws over Ryan Blaney a lot. I think Ryan Blaney is a better driver than people give him credit for. He's a good guy, but an underrated driver. And you know what? He's showing that, and now he's got a shot at winning his first title. And once again, Penske has a chance to go back-to-back in terms of titles, but this time with a different driver. I wasn't sure if this would be a year that Blaney would break out, but here we are. He's even proven me wrong a little bit. I like him because he's a good guy, but you know what? He's also underrated, and once again, it pays to be underrated. And now he's got a chance to show. Ryan Blaney not only has a chance to win a championship, he's got a chance to earn himself some more respect and show that nice guys do finish first. All right, I know what you're all thinking. Come on, Jake, make us a prediction. Who do you think's gonna win? And you know what? Who am I to disappoint? I'll make a prediction. I think it's going to be a really tight race. And I actually will check out this race, too. Just because I want to see who wins the Good Guy Bowl, as I'm calling it. All right. Without further ado, it's going to be a great race. I think all those guys are going to be strong. They're going to have a chance. With that being said, I'm feeling an underdog story. I'm feeling an upset. My heart says Ryan Blaney, and so too does my mind. That's right. I am going with Ryan Blaney to steal the 2023 championship. That is my prediction for the championship 4 at Phoenix. Let's see. Probably not going to get this right, but I do hope Blaney wins. And I would be happy to see any one of those guys who are in the championship 4 win it. But my heart and mind is both of those two are leaning towards Ryan Blaney. I've got a feel he's built up a lot of momentum from the round of 8. He really did have the best round of 8 from what I saw. So that's why I think he's going to have a strong chance. And that's why I think he's going to win the title in 2023. I think it'll be a battle between him and Larson, to be more specific. And it'll be close at the line, with Blaney just edging out Larson. That's my prediction. But whoever wins will have deserved it. You know, and let's have a good race. So that's what I will say. All right. On to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 1st of November. Happy November, everyone. I hope you all had a good Halloween, too. 1964. November 1st, 1964. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Len Dawson passes for 435 yards and 6 touchdowns in a 49-39 win over the Denver Broncos at Municipal Stadium. At that time, passing for that many yards and that many touchdowns was almost unheard of because back in those days, the defenses ruled the NFL. All right, sports fans, that's all I got for this week's Waxon Wednesday. Remember, if you got a question to ask me, just leave it down in the comments below, and I will try to answer it. That's a promise. And thanks for watching this week's Wax on Wednesday. Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports, signing off.